Welcome back to Mirror Readings. I'm Molly, and we're talking about Gene Key 56. 56? Yes, I just got distracted, which is hilarious because the 56th shadow is distraction. All right, the gift is enrichment and the city is intoxication. Ooh, this is a spicy meatball. Let's get into it. Gene Key 56 is a stop codon, which means this shadow of distraction is one of the ones that humanity has to get over in order to get to the next phase of consciousness. And distraction, I mean, you know what it is, right? In basic human terms, it's running away from pain, okay? Pain could just be something uncomfortable or something we don't want to deal with, towards pleasure. It's distracting ourselves away from what's important and what is essential in order to seek pleasure and fill the void of discomfort that we experience when maybe we're up against a challenge. Maybe we're just in new territory or outside of our comfort zone, the littlest bit. Our egos seek distraction for anything. And I don't know about you guys, but my sense of distraction likes to make a mountain out of a molehill and see like a pile of mail I don't want to open and be like, oh no, I better clean my kitchen. So on the path from the shadow to the gift to the city will present as an obstacle between the shadow state and the gift state. So this city of intoxication, when we become intoxicated as a means of distracting ourselves, we can't get to the enriching parts of life. We're totally blocked from that gift of enrichment because we're unable to sit with even the slightest bit of discomfort. We can't face our pain, which is always going to catch up to us, by the way. All right. And distracting ourselves can often just create more pain, particularly if we get addicted to something nasty or engage in some other form of self-destructive behavior. The 3D matrix we live in is very powerful, and it is designed to keep us distracted. It is designed to pull us by our egos and our fears into the throes of capitalism. Buy this, look at this, do this, blah, blah, blah. Once we start running higher dimensional energies, we know how good it feels. And yet we don't, at least I don't default to meditating, eating really good food, grounding, all the things that I know make me a vessel for higher dimensional energies. That's not my default. My default is what's in the fridge and what's on Netflix. This shadow of distraction will make us incredibly sullen when repressed. And in the Gene Keys, sullen refers to an emotional numbness that comes from being cut off from self and others by distraction. In a reactive state, we get overstimulated. And think about what that looks like just from a social media perspective. When we're hooked on social media, we are constantly being showing things that we don't have, that maybe we wouldn't even want if we hadn't seen them, but it fills this we in the moment we process it as filling the void, but it's actually making the void bigger. It's making the pit of wants and needs, right, that are illusions of the ego seem bigger and deeper and have more gravitational pull. The only on-ramp to the gift of enrichment is being able to sit with discomfort. That's where meditation comes in really handy, because when we sit alone with that discomfort of being just like one-on-one with our monkey mind, we start to quiet down. But we can't start that process, which again is the on-ramp to enrichment, without being able to sit with the pain. Richard Rudd quotes Blaise Pascal when he speaks about this gift of enrichment. I just want to read you this quote. All of men's miseries derive from not being able to sit alone in a quiet room. Whew. Enjoyment is a byproduct of presence, all right? Enjoyment enriches our spirit, okay? It makes the human experience worthwhile. But again, we can't get to that enrichment until we can sit with the discomfort without running to distraction. Another feature of enrichment you might not think of initially is that, again, it has to do with being an empty vessel. It has to do with being able to enrich self and others by being able to fully respond to the moment, because we're not distracted and we're not in the cycle of running away from pain towards pleasure. So we're actually able to be attuned to what we and others want and need in the moment. And when we can provide it, it's mad enriching. By the way, another on-ramp to this gift of enrichment is boredom. All right. Yes, there's the discomfort of being alone with our thoughts. But if we can be alone with our thoughts long enough to get bored, whoo, that is such fuel. All right. The Taoists speak of boredom in a very reverent way. This concept of wu wei, doing nothing, well, that nothingness creates space for the divine to come in and work through us. And that's the real ish of getting out of distraction. Can you learn to appreciate the silence? I'm still working on it, but together we can totally do it. And now we're already attuning ourselves to the city of intoxication. Now, intoxication has a subtle undertone to it. I want to read you directly from my notes, and it's about disinterested love. In this state, we're not worried about the suffering of others. We're able to be fully present and loving without needing anything to be okay, without needing us to be okay, without needing a situation to be okay, without needing someone else to be okay. We can be totally intoxicated by life just by being fully present with what is. Definitely a feature of enlightenment. But Richard Rudd points to Osho. All right, remember Osho? You ever saw Wild Wild Country? Netflix. And his mission to fuse the highest selves of enlightenment, like our highest selves, with our lowest selves. He believed in total immersion with the discomfort of being in human form and being alone with ourselves in human form with the highest levels of consciousness. And it comes from a pause. A pause is enriching, all right? When we're between homes, jobs, lovers, that natural pause that usually makes us anxious and want to seek distraction, that is a sacred place. That is the nothingness, okay, the incredibly fertile ground that the divine can sprout from. You may remember that Osho had a fleet of Rolls Royces that his followers gifted him. I am remembering. The documentary is all coming back to me now. That ability to be intoxicated with spiritual energy while fully immersed in the material world, that's what we're talking about here. All right? This is the kiss of life, giving and receiving equally at the same time. And that kiss of the spiritual and the material is totally intoxicating. We can completely enjoy being in human form while seeking higher consciousness and drinking from the totality of life. But we have to learn to do this without attachment and in total trust. And that means releasing distraction and being with what is. So close. Being with what is. I will not be distracted by that mistake. All right, y'all, that was Gene Key 56. I'm Molly, and if you'd like to get a Gene Keys reading from me, please visit my website, mirrorreadings.com, and subscribe to my channel to save 15% on all my offerings.